Everyone, and welcome to Growth with Soph. This is a very exciting video because today I'm going to be taking you through what I personally did to go from fluffy, bloated, tired, weak, underweight, but still fluffy and like having no definition to now where I am a lot more defined, energized, more strong, feminine, and have like a much sharper look to my physique than I ever have. And I'm going to be sharing 4 things that I would advise that any woman do if they want to achieve that toned, sharp, defined look rather than feeling fluffy, having no definition to your physique. Just a disclaimer, everyone is different. These are 4 things that I personally did that I found helpful, but as I say, everyone is totally different, so what works for me may not work for you. But yeah, that being said, how I went from fluffy to sculpted is probably not what you think. It is definitely not going into a calorie deficit and doing hours of cardio. It is quite the contrary. Uh, Gaining weight, specifically muscle mass, and doing what's called a body recomp. So what that means is increasing the ratio of muscle mass to body fat actually made me look leaner and more defined when I weighed more than I did when I weighed less, which was something I really did not expect. So yeah, I'm gonna walk you through 4 steps to do your own body recomp to build lean muscle mass and get that lean, defined, beautiful, strong, feminine physique that we want. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Okay, so tip number 1 is make resistance training, weight training your priority, your focus of your workout routine, not hours and hours of cardio. That is not going to build muscle. With your weight training, you want to be focusing on lifting heavy weights. Anywhere between 6 to 12 reps is kind of like the range for like building muscle. So you want to be kind of reaching failure within that rep range of 6 to 12. So you want to be lifting a weight that you can lift safely with correct form in the exercise, but that is challenging and is pushing you to a point of failure or near failure. You want to be training with intensity. So you want to be training to either failure or to about 1 to 2 reps shy of failure. And you want to be tracking progressive overload each week as well. So, what that means is you want to be trying to increase the weight, increase the reps, or potentially slow down the exercise to really increase the intensity. And you want to be trying to do that each session. So, I would definitely recommend tracking your workouts either on your notes app on your phone, in a notebook, to be able to do that. So what I personally do to build muscle is use a rep range so that I'm constantly challenging the muscles. So basically I will pick a weight that I can do 6 reps with correct form before either I can't do any more or my form deteriorates. Then next week I'll try and do 7 to 8 reps with that same weight. Once I reach about 8 reps with that weight, the next week I will try and increase the weight by about 5 to 10%. You don't want to be going crazy with your weight increases. You want to be doing this incrementally and making sure you can manage it. And then I would start again doing 6 reps with that new heavier weight. What that's going to do by increasing the intensity each session or every subsequent session or however often your body is adapting, what that is going to do is stimulate muscle hypertrophy, muscle growth. And growing the muscle is what is going to help you achieve that definition, because so many women say, I want to get toned. You cannot tone a muscle, especially like if you are building muscle, if you are not lifting heavy enough to stimulate your muscles to go, we need to grow, we need to adapt here. If you're just using like the baby weights because you're scared of getting bulky, like you're not going to grow any muscle, you're not going to be able to see any definition because there's nothing there to see, if that makes sense. You can do this by lifting about 2 to 5 days a week, depending on how much time you have, your preference, your experience. Personally, what I've found works for me for muscle growth, like optimal muscle growth, is I do a push day, a leg day, a pull day, and then a glute focused leg day. If you do want my full workout routine, I'd be more than happy to do a video sharing that. But if you are a beginner, or even if not, if you just prefer to do it with less, 2 full body days is plenty to build muscle and get that defined look. I do about 4 to 6 exercises per session, lifting a weight as heavy as I can with correct form, and that is going to stimulate that muscle growth. It is about intensity over volume with this. The whole myth of light weights, high reps for tone look is absolute rubbish. What actually builds a toned look is having muscle mass, and what builds muscle mass is lifting heavy weights. Number two is eaten enough to grow. To put this into perspective, since I started going to the gym, I look way leaner than I ever have, right? But I increased my calories over 8 months. And I'm only saying this as just a little wake up call if you are eating like 1,200 calories, for example. I have increased my calories by 600 calories on top of what I was having over these 8 months gradually as my metabolism has sped up. So you want to make sure you're focusing on that high protein, whole food, abundant diet. You want to be eating enough food to support your strength training, to support muscle growth. Personally, I eat a diet that is 100% whole foods. So no cutting carbs, none of this diet rubbish, no low fat and low sugar food, because a lot of that has like artificial sweeteners, thickeners, all kinds of stuff that is gonna lead to inflammation, bloating, brain fog, feeling rubbish, to be honest, not feeling nourished, and you're not going to perform as well in your workouts, and so you're not going to be able to build as much muscle because your body's just feeling bleh, basically. I cringe when I think about how I used to eat and how I used to not eat enough and how I used to not eat the right things. I used to be terrified of fats, but now I simply focus on a high protein, whole food diet. So I aim to get about 30 grams of protein at every meal. Um, you want to aim for around 1 gram per pound of body weight as a minimum baseline for muscle growth because protein helps to build muscle. But do not neglect carbs and fats as well, especially as a woman. Healthy fats are so important for hormone health, brain health, and carbs are so important as well for supplying your body with that energy to work out, basically. Focusing on a high protein diet, but also a high fiber diet as well. You want to aim for around 25 grams of fiber if you're a woman. I would say increase this gradually. Getting in enough protein, also getting in enough fiber, that is going to really help to reduce like water retention and bloating and things like that. That can also leave you soft, bloated, and a bit rubbish. But yeah, if you're just focusing on clean foods, your body is going to be able to have a lot less of a difficult time digesting it as well. And obviously, protein is going to help support muscle growth. Um, Personally, for me, to build muscle, I eat in a small calorie surplus. That surplus has increased over time because muscle actually burns more calories at rest than fat does because it's active tissue. It's actually doing things. Fat is just stored. But since I've built muscle, my maintenance calories have increased. I personally recommend starting around 5 to 10% above your current maintenance calories. And you can calculate that by just like tracking loosely for a week and then taking the average or using an online calculator, but sometimes they can be a bit iffy. And then adding about 5 to 10% on top of that, see how your body responds, and then go from there. But yeah, eating in a small calorie surplus has really helped me to actually support that growth and build muscle. So the third thing that I recommend for doing a body recomp is making sure that you are resting and recovering enough. When you are trying to build lean muscle, your body needs time to rest. So I like to think of muscle growth as like a brick wall. So you're training creates little cracks in the brick wall, okay? Little cracks, little tears. The food that you eat, your calories, protein, and carbs, and fats, and all of the nutrients that you are giving your body, that is the materials being delivered to the wall to help rebuild it. Your rest and recovery time is when the builders come to the wall and actually put the new materials in place to strengthen the wall. If you are not giving yourself enough materials to strengthen the wall and you're not giving the builders enough time to repair the wall is going to crumble and you will not see any progress, and you could actually end up with some pretty bad health issues. So please make sure you are resting and recovering enough. I fell victim to this. I thought if I wasn't doing something, I was just going to lose all my progress, and that is not true. Your body actually builds muscle when you are at rest. So I recommend about 7 to 9 hours of high quality sleep per night. This is when the body gets its best chance to repair and recover and rebuild. I personally also take a magnesium supplement at night, which helps to like relax the nervous system, relax the muscles, and aid recovery. I take at least 2 active rest days a week. What I mean by that is your rest day doesn't have to just mean like sitting on the couch. If that's what you want to do, then that's absolutely fine. But you could also incorporate things like a light walk, a hot bath, some yoga, going to the sauna, just to really aid that recovery process for your body and give it time to actually build the muscle so that all the hard work you're putting in with your weightlifting and your nutrition is not going to waste. Also, one thing I noticed when I actually did start to rest more and dial back on the volume of training, so focusing more on like intensity rather than volume, I actually did begin to look a lot sharper and a lot more defined because my body wasn't constantly in a state of like inflammation and stress. So that actually helped to decrease like water retention and help to activate the rest and digest nervous system rather than the fight or flight nervous system, in which your body doesn't really, if your body is constantly in fight or flight, then it's not going to support growth because your body's really stressed out and it's trying to just survive. So please make sure you are getting enough sleep and enough rest for a clear body and a clear mind. And the fourth final thing that I did to body recomp is I switched from hours and hours of high intensity cardio as the only form of exercise that I really did to strategic, low intensity, steady state cardio. So hit to list. Too much high intensity cardio, so things that really spikes the heart rate, things that really stresses the body out, it can prevent muscle growth, and too much of it will prevent muscle growth. It can tip the body into catabolism, which is basically breakdown of muscle tissue, which we don't want. And it can put a lot of stress on things like the nervous system and can just cause fatigue and just make you feel pretty terrible. And obviously, your physique is going to reflect that. You're not going to be building muscle because your body is just burning the muscle to fuel the really high intensity sessions that you are doing. So, personally, what I do is I focus on putting my energy into my strength training. And of course, your heart health is so very important. Your heart is a muscle. And even as I am in a lean bulking phase, even as I am prioritizing muscle growth, I am still incorporating my cardio. I do about 10 to 15 minutes of low intensity, steady state cardio about 5 to 6 times a week. Just like tag it on to the end of my weightlifting sessions usually. I know people have their opinions about that because like it interferes with recovery, but that's just what I do. Okay, I'm not going to the gym later on to do 10 minutes on the stairs. You can now. So I'll do like the Stairmaster at like a comfortable pace. I'll do like level 6, a bit on the cross trainer, like an incline walk. I try to stay in like the fat burn zone, which is about 50 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. And you can calculate your maximum heart rate by doing 220 minus your age in years. And anywhere within that range, 50 to 70% of that is gonna not put too much stress on the system, whilst also helping to keep muscle intact, and keep the heart happy. I also aim for a daily step goal. I love going for walks. I aim for about 12,000 steps a day minimum, but this is so individual. Walking, I think, is an amazing form of cardio if you're trying to build muscle and not stress the body out, because it doesn't put any stress kind of on the nervous system. It's a great way to reduce like aching muscles from your sessions. It helps with digestion and even insulin response. So a short walk after a meal can help with bloating, and it's just great. I love walking, so I would definitely recommend that. And yeah, so that is basically the whole video. That is how I have managed to gain weight and build muscle and look leaner and more defined than ever before. So high protein, whole food diet, lift heavy weights. You will not look bulky. You will look more feminine and stunning. Um, Rest and recover, get enough sleep, and don't do too much high intensity cardio. Be strategic. Muscle is denser than fat tissue, so as the scale weight increased and as I ate more food, I actually looked leaner than when I was skinnier, and it's insane. The appearance side of it, going from looking kind of like fluffy to looking more defined, is brilliant, but so is feeling stronger and energized. I really do want to stress that it is not just about the appearance side of it for me. Obviously it's great, but I just feel so much better as well. So the upshot is your dream body probably weighs more than you think, and it is not going to be built on low weights, high reps, hours and hours of cardio, torturing yourself. That's not how you're going to build that toned look. That is built through strategic, heavy weightlifting, eating enough food, getting your protein in, getting your sleep in, and just, yeah. So don't be afraid to do those things. I want to just leave you with a little something from Mike Mensa, who was a bodybuilder in the 1980s and before that. He talks about how like intensity over volume with training is the key for muscle growth, and that is something I definitely applied in my own journey to body recomp, to build more muscle and look more sculpted. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way through the video, let me know what videos you would like to see in the future. And I'm just so excited to go on this journey with you. I'm so proud of you, and you are more than capable of achieving your fitness, physique, and lifestyle goals. I will see you in the next one. Bye.